What do you think? Are you going to watch RHONY Legacy? We have Ramona's back in. She said it was a loser legacy. Now they want her back. She filmed it. Kelly Ben-Simone just came out and said that she was told by her castmates before she went on it, stay away from Dorinda, but she found Dorinda extremely wonderful. That's what Kelly said.
Well, they're both crazy, so I could see that. Yeah.
They bonded.
That's not surprising, really.
That doesn't shock you, does it?
No, not at all.
Are you going to watch the new RHONY
Is this a
Legacy?
one episode type of thing?
I think it's probably 8 episodes. If I'm gonna
8
guess,
episodes.
I believe.
I don't think I'm going to invest that kind of time.
You're going to pass on that.
Yeah, I might pass on that one.
Why don't I watch it and tell you?
You can give me the Cliff Notes, David.
And we have no Jill Zarin on there. Listen, Jill came out and said this. I'm not supposed. She said, she wanted more money. They offered her the lowest amount.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
This is like a thing. I'm like secretly like I
thought it was a favored nations thing.
Well, I believe. I mean, this is all my sources. I don't know if this is confirmed, but I believe Jill suggested to them that they do favored nations, and that way everyone would get paid the same. And they were like, no. And listen, I'm proud. Like I don't know if proud is the right word. I love when someone
do you know how much they got, David? You always are privy to these things.
Well, I was told one thing, but now I think it was per episode I've heard numbers.
Really?
I've heard. Now, I don't know.
I'll tell you if you're wrong or you're right.
Well, I heard like a Luann. Like I think Luann was offered the most. And I think Sonia was offered the second most. And I think Dorinda was offered the third most.
And not Ramona?
Ramona wasn't in there. Remember, here's what happened.
Oh, wait, so Ramona didn't do this?
Now she did it. Because after Jill said no. See, first they said Ramona's fired. First, Ramona, they basically said you're fired, even though they didn't spin it like that because she's had some troubled past. She's done some things or rumors. Then she called it a legacy loser.
You mean because she's prejudiced?
Yes, because of this whole thing that happened, rumored, with Ebony and, HR and all that.
Right.
Then she called it a loser show. She said this and it got lots of press. Then when Jill turned down the money, they said, how could we have this legacy show we need another person? They had to go back to Ramona and say, guess what? We're actually bringing you back. So that's really what happened.
Oh, see,
however,
I didn't know any of this.
So Ramona, this is why it really is a slight, listen, and I'm not criticizing, you run a business, I run a business, business comes first, right? So when Bravo can, and I'm not knocking them, they can say this one's out because of prejudice and this one's out because of racism, but when they need you for the show, all of a sudden you're back in, which I'm not criticizing, but just let's call it what it is.
Yeah.
So they needed Ramona because, who else are we going to go to? Oh, and Kristen Tateman's there too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I like Kristen.
Yeah, I love Kristen. I forgot about her. So what was my point? Oh, so I heard, I think Luann was offered something like $50,000 an episode.
No way.
You think too much?
Yeah.
Right, but I also heard in the beginning she was offered $50,000 for the whole thing, without per episode. This is so I don't know if it was per episode.
I think she like north of 50, but definitely south of 400.
And I think when they go down the list, and I think Jill was offered less than Kelly Ben-Simone, and she was extremely insulted, as she should be. And I heard Jill was offered something like 15. If Luann was offered,
if
that's what I heard.
If you think that
but I'm not criticizing anyone because I love my Jill Zarin.
Just say one of the highest paid people were paid $1 million, okay, for the last season, and that is, say they got out 18 episodes.
Right. Totally.
Okay.
Which is around what it is. I think Ramona and Luann and Sonia were right around, 900, whatever.
I don't think Sonia was.
But I think she was up there like 80.
I think like 6 or 7.
Yeah. Well, that's still pretty good. Okay, go on.
So you divide that. Let's say that's 350. You take a little bit off. Maybe I would use like a 250 number divided by 8. Right.
Because I think for Girls Trip in general, I've heard you get 250. That's what I've heard.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
But they offered all different, and regardless of all that, Jill was offered the least. And I think she has said this, so I'm not talking out of school. And she just, good for her.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I have nothing against Kelly, but in the legacy world of Housewives, your eyes are bugging up when I say that, but in the Housewives world of legacy, I'm sorry, a Jill Zarin name does carry more weight of the word legacy than a Kelly Ben-Simone.
Absolutely.
So good for Jill.
Yeah.
Good for
Absolutely.
her. Like, I like when people stand up for themselves. I just like that, for whatever it's worth. As the CEO in Women Empowerment and Femio, Barbara, this is everything you stand for, right?
It is. We all need to stand up for ourselves and, know our worth. And,
What do you think in, people that sign up and are going to come to you for help with Femio, what do you think is the biggest challenge as an entrepreneur that someone faces? Like the hardest thing?
Believing in themselves and believing that when you hear the word no, how to convert that to yes. It's a mindset. It's really having the confidence within yourself, and that comes from character and self-esteem, that you can do it. Because I think if people believed in themselves and that they can do it, then that would be like a part of the battle. Sometimes there's just a roadblock, but the roadblock, there's different ways to go around a roadblock.
Right.
And a lot of people just quit. And I always say, don't quit, because when you quit, you never know. People quit prematurely all the time, whether it's, they're working for someone or they're they start their own business. They quit prematurely, and that means that they would never have known what could have been. So
Right.
I always say, put in the time. Work hard, put in the time. Things don't happen overnight. And I think with entrepreneurship, it's the same thing. You have to think that way.
I think that's good advice. And I always think too, okay, like a no, you could learn from the no, but let's not dwell on the no, because there's 7,000 doors that could be a yes. So why is this the most important one? It's not, because it's a no. It's kind of like sometimes the yes that you don't think is the yes that you want is the best yes ever.
Yeah. I mean, no is not forever.
Right.
No is just,
Completely.
okay, it's no today, but no could be yes in a week or a month or a year. And that is something that I've experienced countless times, time and time again. People tell me no, and I will follow up, and I will follow up, and I will follow up with them. And it has become a yes. And that's why I say people stop too soon. They quit too soon. They don't realize what could have happened if they just continued a little longer on that journey.
You want those no's to become, I could see you sitting there and just, let's try one more time and let's keep going.
Yeah, I'm like the queen of being, look, you can only be so aggressive before someone calls you, especially as a woman in construction, and they call me a bitch and they call me too aggressive, and I've heard it all. But as a man, they say, oh, he's a good salesperson, or he's really good at his job. I've never heard that before. Oh, she's so aggressive. Well, if I'm not aggressive, then Joe Schmo down the block is going to get the project, and I'm not. So I don't care what you say about me. I really don't. I'm just going to continue doing what I do and making sure you understand that I am the best person for this project, and you are going to hear me out.
Did you correlate that to social media too? Not that I don't know what your comments are, but I'm sure you got hate on the show. We all get hate. I get hate. Did you go down that road, or did you say, I don't care what you say about me? Or did you first go down this new thing of social media when you got on RHONY?
I did. I was
it's hard not to.
I always tried to either talk people out of it. They would say, oh, I was boring, or, bring more, or, whatever they would say, or you should have done it this way. You should have told her off. There was always, but then there were the people that gave you the positive comments too. So it took a while to kind of adjust and block out those haters. There's always going to be haters and naysayers and all of that. And you got to block out the noise.